This is a fruit, and these grow on the trees, but it can only grow in very specific climates. The Theobroma cacao, the tree, needs to be within 20 degrees north or south of the equator line. And as a result, that makes it very spatially limited for where it can grow. It also makes Hawaii the only state in the United States capable of growing these pods. You want to hold it? It's kind of heavy. So all the beans are in there, but I'm going to backtrack and say, if you want to be a cocoa farmer, you have to be very patient. When you first plant those trees, it's a 4-year maturing period for them. So they're not going to produce any of those pods until about the 4-year mark. After that, they will have a harvest every year for about 60 to 90 years.
Oh, wow.
And what the farmers are going to do is wait until they see. It's pretty heavy. Let me get my iPad. My phone. Okay.
That's cool, huh?
It is.
So the cocoa beans are inside of there. Isn't that cool?
Know that it's going to have a harvest soon when you see these flowers. Now these resemble orchids, but their size is very different. That is a pinky finger.
Oh, wow.
So these flowers are about the size of the tip of your finger. And because they're super, super small, normal pollinators such as bees or butterflies are too large to go in there. So they need to have a special bug called the midge. And the midge is a type of fruit fly. And it will go in there, pollinate it, and allow the pod to grow 6 months later to full size.
Wow.
And full size is about the size of an American football. They're quite large. So this one is actually probably good. We could use him when we're making chocolate. But what the farmers are going to do, once they have all those pods, is cut them open. And this is what it looks like on the inside. The beans are coated in this white fruity pulp. It's very slimy and wet, but it tastes absolutely delicious. It's almost like lychee. And so historians theorize that the way that we discovered chocolate as we know it today is because the Aztecs and the Maya would eat the fruit off of this seed and then cast it into a fire. And then one day they smelled the delicious smell of chocolate rising from the fire and were like, what are we wasting? And thus they discovered chocolate. Now when you're going to make those beans into chocolate bars, you need about 2 pods worth of beans to make 1 bar of chocolate. Each pod holds about 30 to 60 seeds, so that's between 60 and 120 beans for 1 bar. And so what they're going to do is take all that fruit and bean out, and they're going to put it in a box to ferment. This is about a 4 to 7 day process where all the wild yeast in the environment is eating the sugar off of the fruit and releasing the byproduct CO2. That causes the temperature to rise. The sugars are also converting to alcohols, and then they convert past alcohol into almost like a vinegar. And so fermentations are going to resemble apple cider vinegar in their smell. And once all that fruit is burned off, they will sun dry the beans. This is about 2 weeks long. You have to be very careful not to let the beans get rained on because that can cause mold and bacteria growth, and you don't want that. And then after they are sun dried, we will get them in the sacks that you see all around the room. About 13 of those sacks makes 1 ton. So, if you want to head over to the next window, I'll take the pod. Excellent job holding it. I'll tell you what we do in there. Okay.
Cool.
That is a coffee roaster. It's actually an antique San Franciscan coffee roaster. But we've adapted its inner mechanisms to roast the cacao beans. So they'll go in there for about an hour when we make a dark chocolate. And then we're going to let the beans cool after they've been roasted. And after about 15 minutes of cooling, they're going to be cracked in the machine to the left with the red and yellow pool noodles around it. So what that does is it takes whole roasted cocoa beans like this, and it smashes them. And so what you get coming out of that machine is bulk, nib, and shell all mixed up together. Now I'm going to take a quick pull. Do you think we want the shell in the chocolate? No, you're so right. So how do you think we separate it?
By hand?
No, that would take too long, right? So we have to be smart. We have to come up with a way to efficiently separate the nibs and shells from each other. Cue the machine in the back that looks like an elephant trunk. That has a fan system attached to it. The fan blows at just the right speed to lift those lighter shells up while the heavier nibs can sink past the airflow.
Cool.
And once we have just the nibs, we're going to put them over here. The musical factory. Okay. Over there. Yeah. So I'm just going to slip in here really quickly and show you guys something cool. So these are the nibs, right? How do they look? Dry? You'll be surprised.
Adult talking and we are with
Those nibs, if I was to squeeze them really, really hard,
We're about to go, honey.
I would create these two products, cocoa butter and cocoa powder. Nearly 40 to 60% of that bean is the butter. It's very oily. You've probably seen cocoa butter in lipsticks and lotions, soaps. It's moisturizing for our skin. Some people used to use it as sunblock. And then this powder you've probably used in baking, right? Cocoa powder.
Yes.
This is what gives the chocolate its flavor and its color. And the butter allows it to become liquefied when you crush it. So you actually don't need to add any other emulsifier to chocolate. To make dark chocolate, it's as simple as cocoa nibs and sugar. And that's all we do. We let the nibs grind in these stone grinders for about 6 hours on their own. After that time, they will become emulsified. It's almost like Willy Wonka chocolate river on the inside. And once that is done, we're going to add sugar. Now, have you ever had raw sugar, like the little white crunchy pieces?
Yeah.
They're kind of gritty, right? They don't feel too good on your teeth. So because of that texture, we need to crush them and crush them and crush them so the chocolate becomes super silky and there's no traces of those grainy sugar textures. So because of that, it needs to grind for another 3 days. And these are old school grinders. It's adapted from Asian spice grinding technology. So this is more artisanal style. We are opening a new factory if you were to just move straight through this building, through the trees next door, and we have more up-to-date grinders that do this work in about 3 to 4 hours.
So, did they make chocolate back in the day by hand?
I'm honestly not sure how they used to do it. Probably. They probably have to crush and crush. I know the Aztec and the Maya would make a beverage out of it, and they would take the nibs in hot water and crush it and add herbs and spices to it. It came to Europe in I think the 1700s, 1800s, and it was used more as a chocolate drink.
Yeah.
It was like a coffee house but for chocolate. And then they discovered making it into chocolate bars. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So after this chocolate is done grinding, the chocolate makers do a process called tempering. That makes sure that the butter and the powder and the sugar are all really bonded together by raising the temperature of it. And then we cool it down in the molds over there. And we put them in the fridge and they'll set in about 15 minutes. And once that's done, we're able to package it and then eat it.
Yum.
Yeah. And that is